following is a callback to the very first review that I ever released here on YouTube. It was actually for Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, and ever since then this, let's call it a mating call, has been the staple of this channel in the back of my mind, and whenever I do it, I always think of the good old first days of this channel. So without further ado, the Transformers Optimus call. Optimus! 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 Transformers, released in 2007 and is directed by Michael Bay, who is behind so many explosions, and girls wearing very tight short skirt jeans in every movie that he's ever directed. And this film is starring the ever so interesting and fascinating to watch Shia LaBeouf, Megan Fox, Tyrese Gibson, Josh Duhamel, Rachel Taylor, John Turturro, and John Voight. And it's also starring the voices of Peter Cullen as Optimus Prime and Hugo Weaving as Megatron. Before time began, there was the Cube. I wish the Bible would have began with, "In the beginning there was the Cube." Probably would have been a lot more interesting further on in the book. And this cube has the power to breathe in Cybertronian life to any mechanical device anywhere in the universe. However, in the final days of Cybertron, it was sent out into space and was lost. However, clues point that it has landed on this strange planet called Earth. So now the Decepticons descend onto the planet Earth to find the cube and harness its power for evil. But thank God for us humans that the Autobots are also descending on Earth to foil their plans. Oh, and then there's Shia LaBeouf there, who is there doing things and riffing and improvising in almost every single scene that he is in. I'm serious, I don't think there was a single line in this movie that was actually written down on paper that Shia LaBeouf said. I guess other than the line when he's in the helicopter and they're like, "Hey, what are you in for?" He's like, "Well, I bought a car, turned out to be an alien robot." That is the money line of the movie, so other than that, these are all improv lines, I could guarantee you. We've come a long way on this channel ever since July of 2017 when I first released my very first review of Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. I don't dare to go back to watch it because the camera angles, the quality, I would just be so embarrassed. But I do remember having a lot of fun reviewing that film and bashing it on the webs, so that it sparked this entire channel. That was the first one that I reviewed, and here we are over 300 reviews later, so I guess I thank you, Transformers. You don't have a lot of thought that is put into you in terms of, like, plot and character, but you got this channel started. The reason why I just put the plot and the characters in that category is that when you look at the technical aspects and the visual aspects of this film, they're awesome. They're totally badass. There are hundreds of moving parts when you see the Autobots and the Decepticons transform from what you can kind of make out on screen. You see all the wheels, you see all the gears just turning and twisting and going places all over the place, and then they're the Autobots and they're shooting guns. Which I'll say, I like to see a lot more than if you go back to the Transformers cartoon of the 80s, or if you're a child like me of the 90s, I grew up with Beast Wars. But you don't get to see all the inner workings of the robot when they transform. Here, you get all the inner workings, so I like seeing that. It's actually really cool. It takes a long time for them to transform, which I guess when I was a child it wasn't that big of a deal because, I mean, if you're watching Power Rangers, they take 5 minutes to transform and combine all their Zords into a Megazord, and the bad guy just stands there waiting for them to transform so that they can die in the end. So if we're operating by that same logic, I mean, here, let's just have the Autobots and Decepticons transform, and we'll just wait until they're done, and then they'll start fighting. But for being 2007, the visual effects of these Transformers is awesome. It is so state-of-the-art and very ahead of its time, even for 2007. And I love the stylistic choice of, really, whenever we're shooting the Transformers, it's really from an upward angle. You are seeing the Transformers as if the camera was on the ground at human eye level. Yes, of course, we have some aerial shots where we're looking down on them, but for the most part, everything is from our perspective on the ground as human beings. It's a stylistic choice made by Michael Bay. And oh, that man is stylized. He loves shooting scenes with that sunset and sunrise, even when it doesn't make sense for the time of day that the scene is taking place in. Seriously, you will have like 10 different cuts of the same scene that happen in like 30 seconds, and at one point, the sun is just barely over the horizon, and then in the next cut right away, the sun is directly overhead and there's no shadows. And then the very next cut, the sun isn't even visible. All we see is just bright light behind the main characters, who are all dirty and sweaty and walking at the camera dramatically. I'm a soldier! Dun 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 dun. Michael Bay is like that kid in the sandbox, or just digging through his toy box and taking just like a couple of spaceships and going, blah, jaw, and oh my god, it's so cool, and blah, blah, blah. That's how he is as a director. And part of me definitely connects with that, because that's how I was as a kid. I had Transformers, I had Power Rangers and Megazords that I could transform, and then they would battle each other, and it was so cool. It's just that Michael Bay gets to do it with, you know, $1 million and puts it on screen for the world to see, where it was just me with my like $20 Transformer as a kid. Life choices. Notice how I'm trying to talk about the visual effects and the Transformers as much as possible in here, because when they're on screen and we're getting into their story and to their plot, I'm actually very engaged, and I really want to see what happens. The trouble, though, with this film, and what happened in the preceding Transformers films, is that, hey, let's focus on the humans in these movies, because in a movie called Transformers, that's what the audiences are coming to watch. So when we get Shia LaBeouf and Megan Fox on screen having a love connection, I'm totally lost. I'm like, oh my god, just get to the Transformers, for the love of God. So Sam, the reason why I went to juvie was to protect my dad, because he stole cars, but I didn't want him to go to jail because of my dad. I'm sorry, you must have confused me with someone that actually gives a rat's ass. I don't care about the humans in a movie called Transformers. I come to this movie because I want to see shit transform. I'm a sucker for transforming things too. Like, it doesn't even matter. Transformers, Power Rangers, anything. Anything that has something that transforms from one thing into another, I'm just sucked into. I'm sure that's called something, like an ology or an ism of some kind. Whatever it is, I definitely have that. But I don't want to spend an hour and a half, 2 hours talking about, oh, the Secretary of Defense, and all of these really young, hot-looking security defense techno people that break codes and shit, and Shia LaBeouf just riffing off the top and screaming every line that he has. I don't care. I want to see some Transformers beat the shit out of each other. That being said, though, in 2007, my young little mind, I was infatuated with this film. I thought it was the best thing that Michael Bay ever did, and actually I think it is one of the top tier films in his whole filmography. He even calls it out in the movie, where this guy sees the Autobot arrive and there's an explosion and he has a camcorder and he says, "This is like 100 times better than Armageddon, I swear to God." What does that say about you as a director who puts a line in your movie talking about how great your movie is? That's like a Fred Durst fanatic type thing. Hey son, you want to listen to some Biscuit? Yeah, you want to listen to that Biscuit? Yeah, listen to that Biscuit. Call back to one of my movie reviews last year. I do think that this film is a good time, and it sparked off a franchise, $1 billion franchise. All of these movies made tons of money, besides Bumblebee, which is a movie that I haven't seen, but from what I've heard, it's by far the best one of the entire franchise, but really no one went to go see it. Because probably Optimus Prime wasn't in the thing, which is really sad, but I'm still going to check it out eventually. Maybe later on this year, whatever pops up on the random generator, I guess. But I was a huge fan of this film in 2007. Now that I've grown up a little bit, I can definitely see where this film can easily, within a couple of seconds, get very annoying. But when we get to the battles, when we get to the Autobots and Decepticons, I'm a little kid again, and I'm loving what I'm seeing. And you can definitely tell that this is post 9/11, because here, whenever the Marines or whenever the military are on screen, they get all the dramatic slow motion walks and all the dramatic music, and everyone around them is talking about how great they are and Americana and hoo-ah! That's how the country was for several years after 9/11, where it was just like, America! Just fuck yeah! America's great and everything we do! Oh, what little we knew back in 2007. I'm gonna give Transformers 3 out of 5 Blu-rays.
exactly what I had in mind, but not bad.
Alright guys, now comes my favorite part of my videos where I randomly select which movie I'm going to be watching next. We're going to be pulling from the list of all the recommendations that I've received from all my subscribers and fans out there. So let's take a look. Moonlight! Oh boy, Best Picture winner! Or is it? Conspiracy. This was the official winner of Best Picture in 2016, I want to say? The film's in 2016, but maybe it was 2017. I always get confused about how that works. But Moonlight is about a young African-American boy growing up, figuring out his sexuality and dealing with the social and cultural norms of his neighborhood, dealing with being a homosexual. I remember loving parts about it, but I remember not loving the whole, hey, this is 3 chapters in his life, because it felt to me like it was just jerky. Like, we have a section that was happening in his life, and it seemed like it was going somewhere, and all of a sudden it just cuts to black, and all of a sudden he's like 10 years older. And I'm like, wait, what happened? There was no transition. We just went. Yeah. But I haven't seen it since then, so we'll definitely check that one out next time. If any of you have recommendations of films that you want me to review on here, you can leave a recommendation below this video, or go to my Facebook page, my Instagram, or my Twitter, leave your recommendation there, and if I have access to it, I will watch, review it, and give you a shout on the channel. And if you want me to do your recommendation as quickly as I possibly can and bypass the whole random generator that I have here, you can make a PayPal donation on the main page of my YouTube channel. Any size donation will do, just attach your movie with the donation, and if I have access to it, I will watch it and publish my review of it as quickly as I possibly can. So guys, if you've seen Transformers, what did you think about it? Or if you've never seen it before and you stumbled across it because of this video, then comment below, let me know what you thought about it. And as always, if you like what you see here, if you like my take on movies, then hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit that bell so you know the next time I'm releasing my next movie review. So guys, I will see you next time with my review of Moonlight. So in the meantime, be well, be good to each other, and go watch a movie. Take care, guys.